Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, January the 24th, 2023. Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. Today's episode was so. I mean, Young and the Restless really is not really juicy good right now. It was interesting. Daniel sees Phyllis at society, and Phyllis is kind of doodling on her iPad. Don't know if it was really doing his work or figuring out, she could have had pictures of Diane's head on there, just Xing over it, who knows. But she was kind of snippy about it. He goes, "Hey, Mom. Oh, well, did you something about, she was very snipey to him. And he was like, I want to know, is your head with me? That's what I want to know." And she goes, because I think she sent him some ideas that were good. She goes, I'm sure you saw my ideas. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. The way you talked to me the last time we were together, I don't know, do I have a job? He goes, I didn't fire you, Mom. I didn't fire you, but I need to know your head is with me. Okay. And I love the fact that Daniel is firm with Phyllis. Summer Phyllis feels she could push around, right? Daniel, she can't push Daniel around. She's never been able to push Daniel around, even when Daniel was a teenager, right? And so he sits down and he's telling her, look, I just need us to stay focused. I mean, things are up in the air with Chancellor Winters. What do you mean things are up in the air? And he can't get into everything because Lily, for one, hasn't gotten into everything, but he does know that Devon wants to separate the companies, but he's not putting all that out, which he should not be, right? And Phyllis says, it's not looking good. Well, look, Daniel, we need to shop around. We need to X, Y, and Z. And Daniel's looking at her. He says, wait, hold on. I signed a contract. Okay. So we're just going to keep developing. He said, because we're not ready, but we need to keep developing. Yeah, but you need to know, I mean, is this for sure? There are other companies out there. There's other places we could shop this to. And he goes, Mom, I just need you to continue working on your part, right? Can you do that? Can you, you know? So Lily comes in, and this is after she sees Devon. I'll get over to them in just a minute. And he can see Lily's kind of, she's not looking upset, but she's looking a little agitated and distracted. And so she sees Phyllis and Daniel. She's trying to be cordial. And Phyllis kind of starts grilling her about, I understand that there's some, uncertainty at Chancellor Winters. And Lily's looking like, what makes you? And Daniel's like, me, And she goes, because my son, is his project to go? Is it, should he be shopping elsewhere? And Lily's like, look, as far as I'm concerned, I really like Daniel's idea, his project, and it should be a go. Oh, should be. Well, that doesn't sound certain. And Phyllis was just, and Daniel's like, you know what? That's not what I need from you right now, And she's like, no, my son, this and that and the other. And Lily goes, no, I understand Daniel's potential. And Phyllis is like, I'm just protective of him. And Lily goes, and I understand that. So Daniel's kind of looking at her like, okay, it's time for you to leave, Mom. All right, time for you to leave, So she goes, well, I have to go anyway. So Phyllis gets up and she leaves. Now we have Daniel and Lily talking. Of course, they get a stronger drink, and it's still early, right? But they're both drinking bourbon, I think, or scotch or something. And she's just saying, oh, the meeting with Devon just did not go well. And she, a little frustrated. And then she gets a call from Jill, and she goes, oh, sorry, Daniel, look, I've got to take this call. And he goes, no, understandably. So she gets up, Jill, okay. And she, jumping. Jill calls, she's jumping, right? So Daniel's just looking like, uh-oh, goodness, let's hope this does materialize, right? So before Lily got there, she goes to Devon's. Now, Abby was at Devon's, and he was telling her that, Lily was coming over and he was going to give her his answer, because Abby brought vitamins for Dominic, his favorite kind. And I'm thinking, okay, was he with Devon, or was she just another reason to stop by? Because I didn't hear him talk about the baby. I don't know if I even heard or saw a baby monitor, right? So Lily comes, and Lily looks at Abby and says, Abby, I need to talk to Devon privately. And Abby says, oh, no, I was just getting ready to leave. And Devon's like, no, 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 hold on. You don't have to go anywhere, Abby. And he kind of looks at Lily like, you don't dismiss my guest in my house, right? And so she goes, well, I'm coming over to, talk, let's finalize stuff with where we left. Let's continue where we left off and settle this. He goes, great, because I'm ready to. He goes, I want my company back, and I want it in its entirety. And she goes, Jill and I came up with a win-win for everybody. He goes, no, it's not a win-win for me. He goes, it's a win-win for you and Jill. Tell me how it's a win-win for me. So Lily says, you get a large sum of money and you get to keep the name. He said, I have a lot of money and you know this. He says, and if I truly wanted to, if I have to start over something brand new, I could choose a different name. But the company that I've spent years on, that I developed with my father, is named after us, Hamilton Winters. That's the company I want back. And she's like, Devon, you are just being selfish. You are just not. Oh, she's just going on. And he's just looking at her like, I don't know what. Look, she goes, Jill is not going to be happy. Jill has absolutely said she is not going to split up the companies. He says, well, okay. So if that's Jill's final word, he says, then we have to go to court. And Lily looked at him, and Abby looked at him like, whoo. And she goes, is that what you want to do, Devon? He goes, no, Lily, that is absolutely not what I want to do. But what I won't do is what you and Jill are proposing, is me walk away from everything I have built. Me walk away from it. Which is 100% true. They're walking away from nothing. They lose nothing. And Devon says, and how about this? How about I do this? Since I have money, whatever damages you and Jill feel Chancellor is going to suffer by us dividing the company. He said, how about this? I will write you a check and pay for it. All you two have to do is name your price within reason. See, because he's like, oh, no, no, no. Ain't no blank open check for you to go crazy, but name your price within reason. And she looked, he goes, that's my final offer, Lily. Oh, and then she goes, yeah, well, isn't this just full circle? This is exactly what Nate was talking about. Well, once you get something in your mind, it's all about, and he's just looking at her. He goes, well, I guess it is, because I want my company back. And she looks at him. And then she goes, then she had to bring in Neil again. This is absolutely not, our father would not agree with whatever. So she's like, I'll show myself out. And she leaves. And Devon just looks at her. And then Abby's like, but is it going to be worth it? I mean, in the long run, you might not have this. Family is what's the most important. And Lily may not get over this. And he goes, well, I hope she does. I hope he sticks to his guns because bottom line, this is a business deal. And this is a business, two business entities that are not agreeing, and it's business. He is not disowning or attacking his sister. She, on the other hand, is definitely trying to put their whole personal relationship in with this when Chancellor is not her company. Lily just works for Chancellor. Hamilton Winters was Devon's company. You signed a contract. You agreed with the IPO. Doesn't your word mean anything? And he goes, yes, I initially did agree. He says, but there have been some potentially devastating things that have happened with the IPO, which should have taught you and Jill a lesson, but it hasn't. He's like, so no, I am not going forward with it and I don't agree. And that's that. So Lily leaves. She's pissed off. Whatever, right? So Chelsea was listening to something on her ear pods, and she gets this like idea. She texts Billy, "Can you come over? I have an idea." So he's coming over. He was just leaving society. He sees Vicky at the coffee house before he goes in, and she was just talking about how she's a little uncertain with how fast the new dynamics are changing, and it scares her. And she doesn't want to hinder Johnny. She's not standing in the way, but he needs to understand that it is uncomfortable for her, and she doesn't want it to go too fast. And he goes, I understand that, Vic, but Johnny and Connor are really, really getting along. This is all going so well, and it's good for Chelsea too. And so Victoria looked at him and she says, Billy, I wish you were as concerned for me and how this is affecting me as you are for Chelsea. And he kind of looked at her, and do you know he kind of let that gloss right on over? Like, well, you know what? You're a big girl, Vic. You can handle it. You know what? You good. You Victoria Newman. Girl, please. Everything rolls off your back. And then he tries to flatter her with how well she raised Johnny. And she goes, I didn't do it alone. He goes, no, but Johnny lives with you. And you are the biggest, let's be real, you're the biggest influence in our son's life, right? And our son is a very caring person. And he's turning out to be a really good kid, which surprised me, he sure is, right? So they end their conversation amicably. I mean, it wasn't like a hostile conversation. And then he heads to go upstairs. So he gets up there, and Chelsea's like, I had a great idea. I was listening to this podcast on, I think, intervention more for depression, suicide survivalists, or something she was listening to. And you know what, Billy? Why don't we do a podcast? You and I have worked great together, and we could help so many people. We could help a lot of people. And she goes, of course I would talk to my doctor to see if she feels it's okay. But and of course we'll get a specialist to really, because we have to be really careful about what we say and see. And when Chelsea starts talking this fast, something else is up. She needs to slow down. I mean, I'm thinking, wait, girl, you jumping on this way too much, and you haven't even told everybody about what you've done or almost attempted to do, but you want to go on a podcast and bare your soul. People can be cruel, right? At least if if she's open with everybody she knows. Nikki doesn't know, Victor doesn't know, Nick Newman doesn't know. There's a lot of people that don't know. They're still going to show her some sensitivity. But a podcast? She goes, we just work so well. And Billy's face is so interesting to me. You could see it. He's thinking, wait, what? Like, that's going to really, Like Bear, that's, you remember how she critiqued his first podcast, The Grinning Soul? Oh, it's too dark, it's too deep. People need entertaining. You need to lighten it up. What she is suggesting is not light at all. At all. And I don't think she has, not think, she doesn't have the professional background, and neither does Billy, to handle what could come from that. And so Billy's just, well, look, we got to talk to the doctor, because he's thinking, look, you ain't going to just push that over on the doctor. And then he goes, and then Chelsea, you know what? My thoughts are of the boys. We have to think about Connor and Johnny. And she goes, of course. Because she goes, should we use pseudonames? And he goes, I don't know. Pseudonames might be good, right? He's like, because like I said, the parents at Walnut Grove could be very judgmental with us, with the topic we're getting ready to cover. And if they know it's us, our lives, it could cause some issues for Connor and Johnny. And you know what? They come first. But see, she didn't even think about, they come first, but that means no, everything before that didn't matter. I don't want them to know that there's any shame behind what happened. And you have to treat people with compassion and all of that. So we got to really think about how we're going to handle it, because, I think it'd be good for them. And I'm thinking, how? It's good for them to be open and honest with them at home. Open and honest. They can ask her anything about what happened, because quite frankly, they don't know too many open and honest details, because they're young. Okay, but you get on a podcast and so many personal things could come out. Whoa. Right? And so Billy is kind of, she says, are you with me? Oh, and he goes, of course, I'll support you. Good, because we're so good together. And I'm thinking, see, Billy, you don't want to do that. He doesn't want to do it. Yeah, he liked his podcast, but he and Chelsea, they had turned it into something very light between the two of them. And they bounced off of each other. This is a whole nother animal. And if there's one thing we know about Billy, Billy will walk away from something in a heartbeat. And it's not just him and Chelsea to make that decision. Victoria and Adam also need to be involved with that decision, because they also are going to be concerned about Connor and Johnny. And they need to be able to weigh in on that big decision, because if they're definitely going public, they're not going to disguise their voices. That might be something else. Really, that might be something else, y'all. So we shall see. Do they get everyone involved? All the decision makers involved with this decision? And then the next question is, who do they think is going to host the podcast? It's not going to be Chancellor Winters. Lily is not going to bring Billy back with Chelsea. That's too sore a subject. Now, truth be told, they don't need a company to host a podcast. Just like I don't need a company to do this Young and the Restless daily recap. They could do it on their own. They won't have a huge audience that came from Chancellor Winters, right? However, Billy has a following. The Grinning Soul had a following. So they could start putting out content and their followers will find them. So they don't need Newman Media. They don't need Chancellor Winters podcast division. They don't need any of that. They can do it on their own. All they need is a microphone like they had. Billy's got money. And all they need to do is record. So anyway, that was those two. And we shall see where that's going to go. And then it's so interesting. Phyllis is coming into the coffee house, leaving Nate a message. Nate Winters. I mean, Nate, I'm sorry, Nate, what's his name? Nate Hastings. I hear you're doing such great things over there at Newman Media. Listen, I've got an idea that I want to pitch for you. Actually, it's my son's idea, and I just want a few minutes of your time so I could pitch this idea to you so you can tell me what you think. So she hangs up, and Tucker said, "Oh, really? Trying to shop around Daniel's idea?" And she turns like, "What are you doing in here?" She goes, "Don't eavesdrop on people's conversations." He's like, "Sure, I'm just checking it out. You came in here talking, right?" And so he says, "Listen, Phyllis, you're looking for a place to house your son's product, his venture, his idea, and I'm looking for good products and ideas. You don't need to look any further. I'm right here. And I have the money to get you started." And I'm thinking, oh no, not Tucker. If they went with Tucker, he would take that product and that idea from Daniel so fast. And see, Phyllis does not have the authority to go behind, and this is behind her son's back, behind her son's back, and talking to anyone else about his pitch, his business idea. It's his proprietary property. She could go over there to Nate and pitch it, and all of a sudden Nate and Audra get a development team together and steal Daniel's idea. Daniel has kept his ideas under wraps, right? And Phyllis is just being, I don't understand why she would even take it upon herself to do that. I don't get it. She's actually not as into Daniel's company as she wants him to believe. So for her to be running around doing this is going to blow up, unfortunately, in Phyllis's face. Let's go to Comment Corner. Sherry says, "I can't believe Victoria spilled on Audra to Tucker." Victoria and Tucker, I forgot to mention that. They were tit for tatting each other. Tit for tatting. I'm surprised you haven't left town, Tucker. Because I hear Ashley's in Paris. Oh, streets of France, goodness. Having all kinds of fun and not giving you a second thought, And so she goes, you trying to still hang around? There's no more companies you could try to raid. And he goes, don't be so sure about that. Don't be so sure, right? And so then Billy comes up, says some crap to Tucker. And after Billy and Victoria stop talking, Tucker comes to Victoria on the patio and he goes, "You know what? I just wanted to let you know something. As far as me trying to take over companies, they'll never see me coming." And he smiled at her and he turned and he walked away. And she kind of looked like, "Yeah, I know. And that's a problem. I got to keep my eyes on you," because they'll never see him coming. So now we have Annette. Annette says, "Will Tessa and Mariah raise Dane, who's Dane? Dane, who's the daddy baby, LOL." I don't quite understand that comment, Annette. You may want to clear that up for us. And then Annette also says, "Kyle trying to become a mob member like daddy and mommy. Kyle is just doing the most." The Foxy Lady 14 says, "Nick, someone else remarked under another thread when Ashlyn's storyline was going on that Nick was walking around like a showbird with his chest puffed out. He does all the huffing and puffing, but when daddy snaps his fingers, he falls right into line. Sally has not witnessed that yet. Jack and Kyle gullible and disappointing." Nick doesn't necessarily fall in line with Victor. Nick will walk away from Newman Media as fast as they put his placard on the parking lot with his name, Nick Newman. is off of there. He never stays there for long. And if you really think about it, see what's happening now, he really isn't making too many decisions there. And he's not, his head is not in the game. And once he finds out that Victor caused Sally to lose the pitch and everything, he might just walk there. Nick will walk to walk. He just will. Because he doesn't need the money. And LaShunta says, Summer's just an airhead. I can't get into how they're writing her. She used to be number 3 on Wheels. Everyone's chastised Phyllis, but they do all kinds of things. Yes, they do. I can't wait till Jack's downfall. Nikki knows they did it. Elena, wake up. Yes, Nikki does know. And Nikki is not going to keep quiet for them. I think Nikki's going to still do some digging, and Nikki just might rat Jack out. Because how dare you? How dare you go into my place and steal from me? Me. Okay? For Diane. How dare you? So anyway, we'll see what Nikki does. She may do it on her own. I don't know if she's going to tell Victor, because Victor will be out for blood. Victor will just roast Jack, period. Right? But we'll see what Nikki does with that. So that was it. Not too much happening on The Young and the Restless today, everybody. I will be back tomorrow to see. I saw the scenes, the quick little snippets that I now put everybody on. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. On my channel, I put the snippets from, the CBS official snippets. So not Daniel, what's his name? Lauren and Michael's son, Finn comes back. So let's see what's going to happen with him. Let's see. I don't know. Finn is always trouble. But Finn should be a lawyer. Finn Moore should be a lawyer by now. He was finishing up law school. So let's see what happens with Finn Moore. And that's it. I will be back tomorrow.